Well, if you live in Connecticut, then you know that we have bears.
Yes, well, you've probably seen one or at least a video of them, right? But just how many bears are in our state and where are they? Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Patricia Del Rio went looking for some answers.
Black bears in our pools, on our trampolines, and on our decks. Social media is filled with Connecticut bear videos, and if you think you're seeing more bears than ever, you would be right. Department of Energy and Environmental Protection bear biologist Jason Hawley says their numbers in the Nutmeg State have exploded in the past 2 decades.
20 years ago, our population estimate was about 250 bears.
And now the numbers are 4 or 5 times that.
I would estimate somewhere between 1,000 and 1,300.
Hawley and his team are able to track the bear population primarily through tagging. Eyewitness News accompanied Deep years ago as they visited bear dens during springtime. This is when the 2-month-old cubs and their mom are still hibernating. The methods used then are the same today.
She's a pretty young bear, we think. We just captured her this past summer.
They may look like hunters, but they're state bear biologists, giving us a rare behind-the-scenes look at how they collect information about the bears. They mix a sedative that will make the mama bear groggy, but not completely unconscious. Once sedated, they run tests on her and keep her cubs warm while mom gets examined.
I mean, she's licking a little bit, and she's got some reaction in her eyes. So that's, I mean, she's not fully under the drug.
The cubs are weighed
225
and smeared with Vicks Vapor Rub to mask our human scent. They're returned to their den exactly as it's found, and they return to nestling with mom.
Sometimes, they do this. We just gotta tuck them back in there.
Biologists are led to the bears with these collars. It's the female bears who are collared because the head and neck of the male bears are too big to fit them.
This is a GPS radio collar that we have on. We probably have about 30 bears radio collared in Connecticut.
A receiver then picks up transmissions from the collars.
This antenna is pointed at that collar, and it's picking up that collar's beep. And each collar has a different frequency, so we could, so each bear has a different frequency.
Bears at a greater distance can be tranquilized with a dart gun, shown here using a plastic target bear. Another way to tag bears is with this tube-like device. It captures the bear using food as bait.
Primarily, we're using donuts in there. Bears are, they have a very strong sense of smell, so anything sweet, that's what brings them to the trap. And when they pull, it releases the trigger.
The bears are then tranquilized using a jab stick.
We push and inject the drug into the bear. It's not very traumatic for the bear. Very often they don't even notice that it happened.
So where do bears live anyway? Where are their dens? Did you know that this oak tree would make a perfect den inside for a mama bear and her cubs? We'll talk about dens and where bears live coming up tomorrow night on Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, all week long, we're looking at the growing bear population in Connecticut.
And last night, Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Patricia Del Rio showed us the tagging system here in our state and how biologists count how many bears there are.
Yeah, so tonight, we're going to be looking at what the bears are doing right now to get ready for hibernation this winter, what they're eating, and just how big they get.
The bear population continues to grow in Connecticut, and so do the bears. This bear is from 1991, and this bear is more recent. You can see it's much larger, and there's a reason for that.
This bear was hit by a car in 1991. He's about 150 pounds. He was eating primarily natural foods out in the woods, acorns, berries. This guy here, he died about 5 years ago, much larger, about 400 pounds. He was probably eating primarily human foods.
In Connecticut, adult male bears normally weigh 250 to 550 pounds. Females about 150 to 300 pounds. And adults are about 5 to 6 feet long. This time of year, bears are trying to fatten up before they hibernate for winter. They can spend 20 hours a day foraging for nuts and seeds in a race against the clock. But one meal at a bird feeder or trash can substitutes for a day's worth of scrounging for food, making them an easy target and bringing bears a little too close for comfort. Barbecue grill drippings will also attract a bear to a home. In some rare cases, they'll even come on in, open the freezer, and grab a lasagna, as captured recently by a security camera at a home in Barkhamsted. Whatever their food source, once bears hibernate for the winter, they set themselves up in dens. Some have gone under decks of houses, but usually they use nature.
There are just potential dens all over the place.
Wildlife biologist Dave Waddles says we grow up thinking of bears living in caves, but hibernation dens can be many things.
A brush pile like this, if it was a little larger and they can get in underneath that, that could be a place where they could den.
Even a hollow area in an oak tree.
The bear could dig underneath here and dig off all the dirt. And then that inside of that tree provides a great place. And it's nice and warm. It's protected from the elements all winter.
And when bears hibernate, they're not actually fast asleep for the winter.
In reality, they're sleeping in the den. They wake up, they shift positions. For the female who gives birth to the cubs in the den, she's nursing them regularly, so she's quite active in there. Denning is actually a mechanism to cope with the lack of food in winter in the Northeast, because bears are primarily vegetarians, so there's not a lot of food available to them. But bird feeders, unfortunately, provide a reliable source of food all winter. So some bears will emerge from a den, go feed at a bird feeder, maybe go back in, and keep coming out and back and forth.
So our bird feeders and trash cans are breaking their natural cycle of sleeping as they should be?
Yep. Every winter we're getting these reports.
If you live in Connecticut, chances are you may have seen a bear on your property, or while you're on a hike, or at least someone you know has, or you've definitely seen cell phone video of a bear in somebody's house. But wildlife experts say that is not cute, and bear-human interaction is not safe. That part of the story tomorrow night. I'm Patricia Del Rio, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All week long, we are taking a closer look at the growing bear population right here in Connecticut.
And tonight, Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Patricia Del Rio looks at how bears being too comfortable around humans can be a very dangerous thing.
I was sitting on the porch, Cooper was out with me, and the other dog was in the house. And all of a sudden, Cooper just got up and ran around the house, and I ran through the garage and out the back door. The bear was on top of Cooper.
Dave Monsheen has the scars and scrapes to prove he went nose to nose with a bear this past summer after his dog Cooper and a bear got into a tussle in the backyard of his home in Litchfield.
The next thing I know, the bear and I are kind of face to face. I don't know how I got the bear off. I have no clue. And Cooper got away. I think he hit me 4 or 5 times with his claws. He broke my hand. I had a puncture wound in my chest of about 1.5 inches deep.
4-year-old Cooper also receiving cuts and stitches. Turns out it was a mama bear likely protecting her cubs. She ran away after the encounter.
And then whatever happened to the bear?
No idea. Hasn't been back that I've seen.
Despite the ordeal, Dave says he likes bears and wouldn't want to see anything happen to a bear like that.
This was the first incident we've ever had, and it was because of Cooper, protecting his property.
Bear and human interactions are becoming increasingly more frequent, and according to DEEP, the number of bears entering homes in Connecticut continues to rise. In 2023, there have been at least 24. In 2022, there were a record-setting 67 home entries, and this year there have been several bear attacks. As of October 1st, there's now a law in Connecticut banning the feeding of bears. The town of Simsbury prohibits using bird feeders from April through November. Deep bear biologist Jason Hawley says bird feeders can attract bears and potentially lead to danger.
You're reinforcing that behavior. Humans equal food. A bear's been getting food at a place regularly, then they show up one day and that food's not there. Well, they might tend to get a little aggressive. There's no bird feeders outside. Oh, well, I smell something good coming from that house, so I'm just going to go smash this window in, climb into the house, and I'm sure there's plenty of good food in there.
Bears are also often led to homes because of the smell of food in trash cans. One of the ways to try to lessen the possibility of bear and human interaction is with the use of bear-resistant trash cans. They have locking mechanisms that are easy for people to unlatch, but bears can't do it, not even with their teeth or claws. The town of Warren's first selectman, Gregory LaCava, says they've been using them for the past couple of years, and it's made a big difference.
In my first year, I was getting a call a week about bears doing this, bears doing that. Over the last year, it's decreased quite a bit. I don't get as many calls.
There are a handful of towns in Connecticut using these carts, all with great success. They rent for about $10 a month.
The feedback I'm getting from the residents, it's going very well. They love them.
But what happens if you're hiking in the woods or just in your backyard and you encounter a bear? Do you get big and loud or pretend like you're asleep? We'll talk about it tomorrow night. I'm Patricia Del Rio, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Bear Week right here on Channel 3 each and every night. We've been looking at the growing bear population right here in Connecticut.
And with more of them in our state, you could be more likely to encounter one. So what do you do if a bear gets a little too close for comfort?
Yeah, watch out. Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Patricia Del Rio went looking for answers.
It's heart-stopping video of a man in West Virginia opening up a dumpster only to come face to face with a large black bear before it jumps out and runs away. The dramatic video leaves many of us wondering what we would do if a bear got so close to us.
Go away.
Go, go, go! Get on, bear! Go!
We asked Connecticut deep wildlife biologist Kyle Testerman what is the best course of action. He showed us using a plastic black bear as an example.
Most of the time, these bear encounters are going to go, the most common way is that bear is just going to see you and it's going to run off. It's a good idea to make sure that the bear is aware of you, so you might want to call out and say something like, "Hey, bear!" Doing that might just be enough to alert it to your presence, and it's going to try to avoid the area.
So by lifting my arms up, I'm looking bigger, scarier?
Yep, we're trying to look big and we're staying together. We're not separating. We're looking like one big team here. If you have children with you, you'd want to pick them up.
A perfect example of this is in this video from Canada taken just this past week when a black bear comes dangerously close to a 7-year-old boy on a scooter. The child stares the bear down and stops it in its tracks. Suddenly, a neighbor rushes in and uses wide arms, acting big and loud, and scares the bear away.
In this situation, you might want to have other noise-making devices. So you want to yell louder, you want to blow a whistle. Keep raising up your hands, blow that whistle, be something really uncomfortable, make it uncomfortable for that bear to be around you.
You're doing the opposite of playing dead.
Right.
Playing dead is not what you want to do.
Definitely don't want to play dead. There's no reason to play dead. You want to stay aggressive. You can slowly back away.
Now, when you say back away, with some animals, you don't want to turn your back to them.
Right.
Is a bear one of those?
A bear's one of those animals you don't want to turn your back and you don't want to run. We don't want to appear like prey, and turning our back and running away and being small is one way almost to kind of trigger a prey chase response.
And if the bear gets right up close to you?
If a bear is really displaying kind of very rare predatory behavior, is to be really aggressive. And that's to, if you have bear spray, if you carry bear spray with you, you don't just want to spray it around. You'd pop the safety off. I won't do it, and spray down at an angle as the bear's coming in close to you.
Would typical pepper spray or mace work? Is there actual bear spray that only works?
So normal personal self-defense spray is meant to be at close contact. It sprays a stream and you direct it at the attacker's eyes. This, you want to create a big cloud that the bear has to come through in order to get to you.
Testerman says bears are not by nature very interested in dogs, but a lot of human encounters happen because dogs will chase bears.
Bring your dog in close to you. Dogs should always be on leash and keep them under control for their safety as well.
Right now! Go! No! No! Down!
At home, you have more tools at your disposal. You might have a bigger air horn. You can have pots and pans, make noise, do things to scare them away.
But as more and more bear and human interactions occur, some of them people actually getting hurt, the question continues whether to hunt or not. That part of the story tomorrow night. I'm Patricia Del Rio, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
This has been really interesting all week long. We have been talking about the growing bear population right here in Connecticut, how many there are, where they hibernate, what they eat, how to avoid running into one, and what to do if you actually get too close to one.
And tonight, in our final night of the series, we look at the debate on whether to have a bear hunting season. As Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Patricia Del Rio found out, there are strong opinions on both sides.
It's a question that's been batted around in Connecticut for decades, whether to have a bear hunting season. And each side of the argument will tell you why they're right.
Myself, as a bear biologist, I love bears. I've dedicated my career to working with bears. I guarantee I love bears and care more about bears than the majority of the people in this state. But for me, I don't focus on the individual, right? It's not about saving the individual bear. I love the population. I love the species, and my job is to ensure that we have a healthy bear population in this state for my kids, my grandkids, and great-grandkids.
Jason Hawley is the leading bear biologist with Connecticut's Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. He says you can love bears, but still understand that a seasonal hunt is necessary to protect the bear population and people. 20 years ago, there were about 250 bears in the state, now about 1,300, and with that comes numerous home break-ins and even several bear attacks. Hawley says hunting teaches bears to have a healthy fear of humans.
Bears are experiential learners, so they learn, a majority of what they know by the time they're a year and a half from their mother. Their mother might be 15 years old, so she's been around a bit. They're smart animals. They learn. It's not safe to be near humans.
But animal rights advocates like Scott Smith of the group Friends of Animals sees things differently.
Deep says they want to kill a mama bear or allow hunters to kill a mama bear so that she can teach her cubs to avoid humans. Well, what you're going to get is a dead mama bear and 2 orphan cubs who don't know how to live in the wild.
It's not like the bear population is going to get wiped out. We would manage it so the population would still be increasing, just not increasing as rapidly.
Is there a state that has similar topography and similar number of bears that is doing things better than you think we are here?
Massachusetts is a good example.
So we headed to Massachusetts to meet with Dave Waddles, black bear biologist with the Massachusetts Division of Fisheries and Wildlife.
In Massachusetts, we probably have on average 3 to 5 attempted home entries per year, whereas I know for the past 5 years or so, Connecticut's been having 30, 50, 60, 70 home entries by bears. It's a staggering difference. And really across the region, New Hampshire, Vermont, places where you have very high densities of bears don't have anywhere near the level of conflict that Connecticut has. So having a hunting season can potentially mitigate some of those serious forms of conflict that you're experiencing in Connecticut.
Connecticut Deeps Hawley says part of the reason many people in our state have been averse to hunting is because they are not seeing bears where they live yet.
In Connecticut, bears are still just kind of in western and northwestern Connecticut, so you don't have a majority of people saying, hey, we need to do something about this. I would say a majority of people in Connecticut aren't dealing with that yet, but they will be. It's only a matter of time.
Bears have been seen in all 169 cities and towns, but are mostly found in the western part of the state. But Hawley says they are pushing east of the Connecticut River. Their numbers overall are rising, and he feels something needs to be done before public sentiment changes.
People are calling in. They're like, hey, we've had enough. I can't even let my kids play in my backyard because these bears aren't afraid of us. I feel like a prisoner in my own house. This is enough. We need to do something.
The one thing both sides agree upon is the more we can educate ourselves about bears, the safer it is for bears and humans to live amongst each other. I'm Patricia Del Rio, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.